Good afternoon, just from the King's Road in Chelsea, and we are going to the London Steakhouse Company right there to have lunch, thanks to a voucher that we've spent a very long time actually umming and ahhing over, but we finally booked, and it's a nice day for it.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
So we've just had a very nice lunch at the Market Pierre White Place Steakhouse Company, which was excellent actually. And then we've come for a walk down the King's Road. We've just sort of been meandering down, had a look at the food market, which we just passed, near the Saatchi Gallery, which looked excellent. I'll have to come back for that. And we're slowly meandering towards Peter Jones and then Sloane Square beyond. Good evening, it's Monday. I'm just on my way to an audit committee meeting at RHP. I haven't turned on the vlogging camera today. I have been up at a meeting with Chris in central London and then back reading board papers, so you haven't missed a lot. That said, I thought I'd comment on something I've seen quite a lot recently, which is people who turn out looking like they've spent 2 hours on their outfit and an hour on their hair, and their phone screen is smashed. Now that to me is completely counterintuitive. Like, turning up with a smashed phone screen is much the same as turning up with like tears in your shirt or paint in your hair. I mean, you just look like a slob. That's just my opinion. I just think it shows that you can't be trusted around, you know, technology, or you have no concept of the value of things. And so that's my personal view. So maybe put your phone in a case. Like, if you spend £20 on an iPhone case, consider that insurance. Because I've had an iPhone case from the very first moment I got an iPhone. I'm on my fourth now, I think. Do you know how many screens I've broken? None. Do you know how many times I've dropped the phone? Lots. So buy a proper phone case. Now, I'm aware that I can level that same criticism at several of my friends who might be watching this and thinking, what a dick. Well, you know what? I've actually given them the same advice many times. So it's what I believe. And frankly, if you think the iPhone looks better without a case on, then think about it this way. Does your iPhone look better when you've got a smashed screen and no case on it? Or would you rather have a case on it and not fork out 150, 180 quid every time? Because if you'd rather just spend money constantly on replacing phone screens rather than buying a case, then I'm afraid you're a bit of a mug. And no, a £4 case off eBay won't cut it. And one of those slightly overpriced £12 ones off those dodgy phone repair shops won't cut it either. Because neither of those are designed to withstand a drop. They're really just designed to withstand a scuff. You have to spend 20 quid and buy a proper drop insulated case. Something that they actually do drop tests on. Because otherwise, again, you're just wasting money. But trust me, if you turn up to a job interview and you think you've spent ages on your appearance and you pull a smashed phone screen out of your pocket, you're not making a good impression. Hello there, where are we? Wednesday? Yeah, happy Wednesday. Happy YouTube demonetisation day. I talked about this last time. Today's the day it happens. I can no longer make money from YouTube until I get another 800 subscribers. So if you know 800 people who have nothing to do, then they might want to subscribe. If not, I guess I'll just soldier on. So there we go. It is the 21st of February, 2018, which was the date this happened. So I feel like I've gone full circle in this channel. When I started it, I didn't know if I'd ever reach monetization. Then they opened monetization for everybody, as long as you had enough watch minutes, which I do have. I have plenty of watch minutes and watch hours, in fact. But then they retroactively introduced a load of old rules again, essentially. So here we are. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I think I've said my piece. In other news, I have a lot of RHP meetings this week. I had audit committee on Monday. I've got a Co-op Homes board meeting tomorrow. It was supposed to have a chairs liaison meeting before, but I think that's been cancelled. I've got an away day. I've got an away day at RHP on Saturday morning, and then I've got another meeting following Tuesday for service delivery committee. So I'm up to here with board papers, trying to hold information in my head and failing miserably. And I've been at USP all day in Tavistock Square. It's been quite a pleasant day. Been sorting out a few things for the new F1 season that starts worryingly soon. So that's been what I've been up to so far today. Tomorrow we're going to take a little trip into Richmond beforehand, but otherwise I'm at home. So I might see you a bit more. Good morning. It is Thursday. Had to think about that. The last couple of weeks have been a bit all over the place. It's odd when you don't have routine, it's hard to differentiate. But anyway, off on a little walk this morning. I have a few things I need to pick up. I figured I should get out of the house and do some steps. Now, in March, I've signed up to Cancer Research UK's 10,000 steps a day in March thing. So I will be asking and begging you for some donations. They don't need to be big. I understand people don't have money to throw around, so £1 here or there will all help. And if you haven't got a couple of quid to pass around, then just pass on the word, and that'll be more than enough. But for the time being, I'm heading off to Richmond. Now, you don't need to tell me in the comments all the pros and cons of 10,000 steps, how it's been made up by someone just to sell exercise devices and what have you. I know all of that. Nonetheless, it is a nice target to aim for, and it is no more meaningless than walking a marathon, for example, which I've done before. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to quite enjoy it. It's going to be quite tricky. So what I've decided, just for sanity's sake, is whilst I will endeavour to do 10,000 steps every day, my clear goal, success or failure, will be measured by the fact that if I average 10,000 steps a day in March, with some days you're sort of restricted to what you can do. And when it's like today, where the sort of spring-winter oscillation is carrying on, and today is very much more winter than spring, it's quite difficult to get out without wrapping up quite warm and avoiding the puddles. It's the Brentford Gate of Kew Gardens. Oop. Nearly fell off a wall, very close to falling off a wall in fact. What was I saying? Yes, there's a Brentford Gate of Kew Gardens. The reason I haven't come through Kew today is because I really wanted to fall off that wall. No, it's because it's not open till 10. It's the short answer. Funny story, every time I walk along this wall I think it's in really bad state of repair. There's all sorts of missing bricks and things. Got to be really careful not to fall off it. I know, why didn't I pull a camera out of my pocket and start vlogging? That would definitely make it easier. Well, point proved. This bit of Kew's border is interesting. You obviously have a wall and a moat, and you might think, well, that's a bit extreme, but then it used to be royal grounds, so you couldn't have any old peasant just sort of wandering in whenever they felt like it. So this is sort of old royal fortifications, as it were. It does feel a bit odd now, like you wouldn't usually see that an entrance to, say, you know, some fancy gardens. But yes, it's all to do with what it used to be, and they've had to sort of maintain them because you can see the land is embanked on the other side, and this is essentially just a flood protection now, this path between the river and the ditch. So, but it does run all the way along the towpath here, all the way to where it turns away. We're now just past the end of Kew Gardens, and you can see the wall kind of disappears into a sort of mud flat, and the ditch sort of turns into a lake. It's very weird here. This is a very narrow strip of land that isn't in the river. And when it's high tide, or spring tides especially, it can feel a bit like you're sort of just walking on the surface of the water down here. But at the moment the water's surprisingly low actually. It's often some quite bad flooding, but it's a long way away at the moment. There's just a huge number of gulls all the way down this side of this island and stretching all the way off around the corner. Must be a couple of thousand of them in total. They're just sort of slowly drifting down the Thames as the tide goes out. Very strange. I hope they don't all take off together. That would be quite worrying. Hello, happy Friday. I've come into Kew and spring has given up. It's a bit of a bold statement, but for the next 10 days or so, winter is making itself known. It is exceedingly cold, and I think on one day next week the highest temperature might be 0. I mean, it's, colder than it was in Prague, which is a little bit silly. The footpath is out of action because they're resurfacing, so I'm taking a slightly different route. And snow is forecast several times over the next 10 days before it then starts to warm up again. So, because of that, I think it's time we did the word of the week. So this week's word of the week is snow, just in case we actually get some. So snow, first of all, in German is der Schnee. Der Schnee. That is snow in German. And in Italian, snow is la neve. La neve. That's snow in Italian. And that was this week's word of the week. Meanwhile, I need to navigate my way through this slightly damp ground and find some things to take photos of for next week's Instagrams, and today's no less. So I'm going to wander around a bit and I'll join you again later. Nice new path. They're putting in a few paths at Kew. This one is near Queen Charlotte's cottage and the kiln, which you can see on the right there. These are a bit spongier and they're a bit more hardy. They're designed to survive winter slightly better than the old tarmac. Look good. Just before we go, this flag is flying, or it would be if there was a breeze, near the Queen Elizabeth Gate in Kew Gardens. It is a horizontal triband, and it is purple, white and green, and you should know what this flag represents. It's not a nation's flag, although it is in the same layout as the German flag and the Dutch flag and the Hungarian flag. It is a flag of a movement. It's quite an important movement. It is the suffragette flag. So remember that. Learned some more flag information here today. I've just got back from the gardens and I was just about to do a sign off actually, but then Louis decided he was going to come into the flat. Louis, what are you doing in the office? What are you doing? Alright. It's more fun in there. I'm not sure what he's found. Tried to think. There's not a lot in there, dude. Slightly strange having a guest cat in your house. I think he's just come to inspect, really. Haven't you? We can sit in here if you want. We can sit up here. Or you can just inspect everything. I mean, I'm quite easy, to be honest. I think this is where I'm going to sign off the video. We'll find out what happened to Louis in the next vlog because he's not keen to go anywhere. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It all helps. And I'll see you next week when I may or may not have a guest cat. At this rate, I probably will.